We want to thank our primary sponsor and my employer by day, Nassau Financial Group. Our tagline is, working harder to be your carrier of choice. We support you with best-in-class service. We seek to keep things simple, and we'll have your back in the years to come. We're headquartered in Hartford, Connecticut, with $27 billion in assets and over 500,000 policyholders. We've been doing this a long time, 170 years, but we remain humble enough to always try to improve.
Welcome to That Annuity Show, the podcast that will make you an expert in explaining annuities to your clients. Give us 30 minutes each week and we'll shave hours from your client presentations. Now, here's your host, Paul Tyler.
Hi, this is Paul Tyler, and welcome to another episode of That Annuity Show. Ramsey, how are you?
Fantastic, as always.
Good. And unfortunately, we could not get Mark on the program with his schedule. We both were in California this week, meeting with a number of our agents and advisors. Great trip. And timing could not have been more perfect than for this episode, in which we're bringing a longtime friend of mine and a person with whom I've worked on industry councils, Robert Knop, who is CEO of Assist You Today. Robert, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Paul. Thanks, Ramsey. Great to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, well, Robert, I think we actually met originally on Limmer's social media and digital marketing council, right? I think that's the first time we got to know each other.
That's right. Yeah, we were on a panel, I believe,
and
back in the day.
I think we were. And, back then, wow, way back in, when was that, 2011, 2012, we were talking about how social media would really revolutionize how agents and advisors go to market. So tell us what's happened past then, and tell us what you're doing to accelerate all the good work that's gone on to this point.
Yeah, since then, social media has really boomed across financial services, especially in, say, asset management, insurance, mortgage, banking, really across the board. And so my organization works with really all of those types of companies from a strategy, training, and content perspective for sales, marketing, and social media. And social media is really where both of those things, marketing and sales, really come together to help individuals not only build awareness for themselves, their organizations, but also companies doing that for themselves, build awareness, and both for individuals and companies to generate business opportunities. It's not just customer service, and it's not just all about likes and comments. There's actual tangible business value you can get from using social media, both at the individual level and at the company level.
So I would ask, how should people in our audience think about what they should be doing in the space? I think that there's an issue of resources. So sure, companies at an enterprise level can spend a lot of money, but if you're a solo practitioner, if you're a small business, how do you think about how much time and effort and money you put into your social media?
Well, the way to think about it is you want to make it part of your communications toolbox. So you don't want to necessarily replace anything, but as you're doing emails, as you're doing calls, as you're sending out materials, this has got to be another check in that checkbox from a corporate perspective. It's search engine marketing. Are we going to do that for this campaign? Yes. Are we going to do social media posts for this? Yes. Are we going to do emails for this? Yes. Are we going to do webinars? Yes. And then from the individual agent perspective, there's no better way to get in front of your target audience nowadays than social media. And the reason why I say that is, I think about back when I was, leading marketing at a Fortune 500, I would get probably about 50 phone calls a day and about 500 emails a day. I couldn't even answer the phone calls and emails I needed to do my job, let alone everything that's on top of that. However, we'll use LinkedIn as an example. So how many private messages on LinkedIn do you get a day? Paul, Ramsey?
More than I want.
Oh, yeah, it's... Well, I wanted to ask you about that too, Robert. I loved LinkedIn. I loved it. It's done more for me, for my professional connections. I will tell you, in the last year and a half, I just feel like every robot in the world is targeting my inbox. What is the future of LinkedIn for advisors?
Yeah, but even with that, you probably get what? Under 50 messages a day, Paul, would you say?
You're probably right.
Yes.
You're probably right. I bet 5 to 10 requests a day, but you're absolutely correct. My email is I'm probably getting 600 or 700 emails
Exactly. So
per day.
Same here.
Think back to when you got 5 to 10 emails a day. You would open every single one of those. You would read every single one of those. So even though you might consider some of the stuff you get on LinkedIn spam, you're still opening it and you're still reading it. So that's really the key right there, is just volume in and of itself. There's a lot less volume when you're on social, like LinkedIn, for example, than with your email, with your phone calls. And you're much more likely to read those because most of the time you're looking at those, it's after hours, not during work hours, so you have more time. So just simply from a volume perspective, there's a better chance to get in front of those key decision makers by using a tool like LinkedIn than there is cold calling or blast emailing. So it's absolutely imperative, especially in the pandemic that we're in right now, right? Half the people still aren't in their offices, more than half, right? So if they're working from home, you call their work phone, you're not going to get them. You're going to get their voicemail, and they say, well, that's trash, and then they just delete it. Or, you mentioned 600, 700 emails a day. It used to be 500 for me. To cut through all of that noise, to actually get that email read, opened, and have anyone spend any time with it, man, that's a challenge. If you have to write the Mona Lisa of emails nowadays, if you're doing cold outreach, to get someone to read it and respond with it.
Yeah, so if we think through all the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, I don't know, Reddit, if I'm an advisor, and you mentioned I should make this part of my daily habit, like which platform should I prioritize first, and how much time should I put on those top 2 or 3 platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it all depends on your target audience. If you're going after, say, small to medium-sized businesses and you're trying to sell bops in New York City, LinkedIn's where you want to spend 100% of your time. If you're going B2C and you're selling P&C insurance, maybe Facebook is a better opportunity for you there. Instagram, there's some possibilities there as well from a B2C perspective. But I would say for most insurance reps, whether you're going after commercial or individual insurance, LinkedIn's probably your best bet. It's the most professional. It's expected to be used for business purposes. If you're on Facebook and you're reaching out to people that are talking about a barbecue and you start to try and sell insurance in that conversation, that's not going to go over incredibly well, right? That's kind of icky. But on LinkedIn, not that you should sell anyway. You shouldn't really pitch on social media. It's more about building relationships, earning trust, and then you earn the right to pitch your products and services. So most of the time I would recommend LinkedIn to pretty much anybody, but it does depend on your target audience.
And so what are your thoughts on content creation? I mean, if you read an article, it says create content, gain people's trust, and people will love you, and you'll have a business. And then you do that, and then you realize you're not giving a lot of attention, and people say things like, "Just create great content," right? But tell us what great content looks like from your perspective. What are the things that it does? What are some of the best practices that some of the folks in this audience can think about to achieve that goal?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, you got to add value, Ramsey, and you don't add value by talking about yourself or your products and services, because it's not about you, it's about them. It's about your target audience. And that's the trap that so many companies fall into, is 100% of their content on social channels is just PR-based content. They're just sending out, this is the latest company update, this is what we're doing, this is our new product, this is our new yada yada. And eventually, it's like you're the guy at the networking event that's just talking about himself 24/7. Because that's what social media is. It's a 24/7 networking event. So if you're just talking about yourself the entire time, eventually, by the end of that networking event, that guy's in the corner by himself and nobody's talking with him because they're tired of hearing about how great he is. Social media is the same way. Instead of talking about yourself, talk about others. What are their pain points? And just solve them. Give away free information. To be honest, I get 100% of my company's leads from events and from LinkedIn. And that's the reason why, is I do exactly what you described, is distribute value-added content follow up with those people that engage with it, start a conversation, build a relationship, and then when the time is right, there might be an opportunity.
Yeah, and how today does social media mix with your web presence? So, what's the first thing I do before I talk to Ramsey? Is I Google him.
Right.
How does your social presence link to what you look like on the web?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you do your profiles right on, say, Twitter, on Facebook, or on LinkedIn, those actually will come up above your web page nowadays, because those sites have such good search engine optimization, so much traffic, that Google actually puts those above everything else. So even back when I was in corporate land and I had a page on the main company site and all that, and they had tons of traffic, my LinkedIn profile got higher in search engine results than those pages. My Twitter account gets higher than those pages because they get so many views, and LinkedIn itself has such great search engine optimization. So my advice, and this might be an unpopular view, why try to pull people to your websites when they're already going to be on these social channels? I recommend spending more time on your social channels than you do on your company or personal websites, because you're never going to be able to get as much traffic as Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn. It's just not possible as a corporate entity. My company's website, man, I spend more time from a cybersecurity perspective and dealing with spam inbox requests and things like that than I do actually putting new content on it nowadays. I spend all my time on my social media outposts, as I like to call them, because that's where people are already spending their time. Why would I want to take them off of there, pull them on my website where I can just put all the stuff that they need to know about me on that social channel itself? And that way they don't have to leave, and they don't want to leave anyway, quite frankly, because they want to stay there, because that's where they went on that channel to start with, and they can just do all that within there.
Yeah, and Robert, I will tell you, over the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic, you've done a great job on your social channel. I've seen the engagement you've created. I think you've gotten picked up at least once or twice, right, by the LinkedIn editors, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've been
partnering for a long time with LinkedIn, both on the sales and marketing side. I've led a couple roundtables for them, spoke at conferences. So we're good friends, the LinkedIn group and I. We actually did a studio week right before the pandemic hit, where they called like 20 sales experts from around the country, and I was fortunate enough to be included with a bunch of rock stars from that perspective. And we just talked about our approach. We talked about how we use things like LinkedIn and their premium product, Sales Navigator, how we get business. And for me, it was all about financial advisors and other financial services companies and how they should be using LinkedIn. And those videos came out last year, and they were, it was a ton of fun to do, and a lot of interest generated as a result.
So you're a believer in Sales Navigator. I mean, a lot of people are obviously already using it,
Sure,
because those are the people that are filling our inboxes. But you still think it is underutilized, or there's still an arbitrage there, for lack of a better way of describing it.
Yeah, the way I look at it is I look at everything in the world as a cost-benefit analysis, Ramsey. And the cost of Sales Navigator is $800 a year, and if you as an agent or a sales rep can't make that money back using Sales Navigator, then call me and I can make sure you can do that. Quite frankly, because it more than pays for itself many, many times over the course of the year is the way I look at it. The advanced search features are so superior to the regular LinkedIn. Not that regular LinkedIn is bad. You can do a lot of stuff. It's just harder to do it there with Boolean searches and fun stuff like that. I won't go into the details, but it's so much easier to get down to the nitty gritty, especially if you're part of a large team. If say 1,000 reps at your company have Sales Navigator, even if you're not connected with all those reps, there's a thing called Team Link that'll say, hey, even though Paul and I aren't connected, it'll say that, hey, Paul Tyler at your organization is connected to X person that you're looking at right now, even though Paul and I are not connected. So you can just reach out to Paul and say, hey, I'm in division X at your organization. I'm trying to reach out to Ramsey. Would you mind making an introduction? Or you might want to introduce yourself to Paul first before you do that. But you get the idea, right? I mean, it's so easy to get in front of key influencers so much faster using Sales Nav. Yeah, I definitely do recommend using it. But the challenge is compliance, right? There's a lot of companies that are terrified by Sales Navigator. And one of the reasons why is you can send attachments in the private messages. But there's ways to shut that down so that you can't do that. And there's ways to like turn on and off certain features that scare compliance and supervision within Sales Navigator. I know a lot of big FinServ companies that have been using it for a long, long time.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit deeper about some of these features on LinkedIn and where you can go, where agents can and can't go, or advisors can and can't go. Surveys. Ramsey, you and I have seen some people use surveys exceptionally effectively.
For sure.
On LinkedIn. Where does that fit, Robert? Both going back to Ramsey's early question, when is that good content? And then from a corporate standpoint, when should some of the compliance departments say, yeah, it's okay to do that?
Yeah, I mean, the polls themselves are currently shown to just a ton of people on LinkedIn. For some reason, they're really favoring polls. So it's one of those things where you can strike while the iron is hot right now and get in front of a lot more people than you would with a normal post. So I'm glad you brought it up, Paul. I think the way to use it is you don't want to just spam people like, hey, what's your favorite fast food joint? Because that's meaningless. You're not going to get any value out of that. You'll get a lot of responses and you'll get a lot of views, but are those the type of people that are actually going to turn into business opportunities? Absolutely not. It's like creating a funny cat video as your ad for your company, if your insurance company. It's like, yeah, you're going to get a lot of people like, wow, this is hilarious, but you're going to sell any policies? Probably not. So polls, just like with any other content, you want to add value. So you want to make it topical, relevant, and useful to your target audience and answer a question that a lot of people might be, curious about. For example, if you were wondering what type of content your target audience is most interested in, you could give like a quick poll of 4 options, and that's basically free consumer research within your target audience of what kind of stuff you should be posting from a content perspective. And then you look at you mentioned from the company perspective, I mean, you can capture and archive those posts just like you can any other post on LinkedIn. So as long as you have the right supervision tools and individuals in place to supervise those activities, shouldn't be any different.
What about if Ramsey and I and a couple of friends all get together and we say, you know what, Ramsey put something up, I'm going to go and comment. All of us are going to sort of cross-promote our stuff. When does that work?
Pods.
And pods.
Yeah.
Pods. And when does it not?
Well, I can tell you on Instagram, I'm a member of quite a few pods. I actually post funny parenting content on there, both on Twitter and Instagram. And pods are, the way to go on those sites to really generate interest. On LinkedIn, it's... I know folks that do it. The same people post a piece of content. No matter what they post, they get 100 likes and 30 comments saying, great post, love this, so intuitive, so funny, love this. Like, that's just a pod. And it's the same people again and again and again and again. And, it goes back to your target audience, right? Are those people in your target audience? So you got views, you got engagement, but is that going to lead to business opportunities, right? My objective for Instagram, for myself, for my funny parenting content is really just an outlet for fun. So if I get more engagement, great. If more people see it, great. Then I find more funny parents and I connect with them and see their funny content. So that's my objective. So it fits really well there. But on LinkedIn, if you've got 10 people at your organization, when you post something, say everybody engage with this right away, and it's just your people, then yes, it's getting out to a larger audience, but you got to make sure your target audience is engaging with it too.
Interesting. So I've been in a couple of pods. It's actually, it is. It's been interesting because certainly it's been very helpful in getting a sense for like what sorts of things resonate and don't. Even though there's people that are obviously going to always comment. When somebody actually comes back with a very thoughtful comment, it can sort of grow into something, more meaningful. But it's also a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also there's a lot of time and investment that's put into it. So then, I guess another area I'm curious about, and Paul, I don't know if you want to stay on LinkedIn, but I wanted to ask a little bit more about SEO and
Sure.
Google Ads and search. All right, what are your thoughts there? I mean, keyword research and paying for keywords can be very expensive. right? Paying for those clicks can be very expensive. How do you feel about that channel?
Yeah, I mean, as far as SEO is concerned, I mean, you're spot on. I mean, if you want to buy life insurance, for example, that's going to be ridiculously expensive. But if there's specific keywords that don't have a lot of people bidding for them, that's a good opportunity for you. And how you find that out is you can actually search on Google Trends, which is a free tool that Google has. It's trends.google.com. And you can do some comparative searches for things that maybe not a lot of people are buying, but maybe very similar and specific to your target audience. Just going back to social media for a second, we were working with a company and revamping a lot of people's profiles with that insurance company, and they actually called all of their insurance agents insurance representatives in their digital platforms. And I did some research and said, well, insurance agents gets more than 25 times the searches on Google than insurance representatives. We need to start calling all these guys insurance agents, at least online. And they were shocked by that and said, great, fine, let's do it. So from that point onward, at that company, they went from insurance representatives to insurance agents. Now you can do the same type of research on Google Trends because it's based on market buying activity, not necessarily the searches, although a little bit as well. And that's how you can find those little pockets of value.
Yeah, interesting. We've had very vigorous discussions with our law department about what to call people who sell insurance, and it's interesting, right? Because especially in Connecticut, they literally have a law that says, call your independent insurance agents producers. Well.
Yep.
Yeah, Ramsey, how many people Google independent insurance producer?
Exactly.
What's that?
People want to know if they can be on the show. That's what a producer is. What show are you producing?
Well, and maybe that's a happy medium, because you're absolutely right. In some cases, you have to call them that, but you could do parentheses, right? Insurance.
Yes.
Independent insurance producers, then in parentheses, insurance agents, so that people know, oh, and then you get the SEO for both of them at the same time.
Commonly known as.
Exactly. Oh, that's something else for your social media profiles, right? Beyond just SEO and looking at SEM for specific keywords with Google Trends, make sure you do that with your profile as well, so that you're using keywords that are commonly searched for, so that you come up highly in search, not only on tools like LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, but also because we mentioned they have great search engine optimization, you come up more highly in Google search results as well.
Got it.
Yeah, no, this is good stuff. Following along Ramsey's point, does it help me, Robert, to actually go out and buy some traffic coming into my site? I'm ranked, 30th in my town. If I type Paul Tyler, Rybrook, New York, insurance agent, and I'm 30th. If I go out and buy ads on Google, is that going to help me elevate myself in organic search at all?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to be doing that, like with insurance agents, I would rather buy advertising space on Facebook than buy Google ads. They're cheaper, they're highly targeted. You can get in front of your exact target audience and whittle that down really, really far to your specific target audience versus Google, which is, you're buying the keyword, you're not buying the people per se. So I'd go at it by buying Facebook ads in your geographic area versus search engine optimization. Or search engine marketing, I should say. So
there's something is like SEO versus SEM. Like for folks that are native to it, like yourself, the nomenclature is clearer than it is to the novices. SEO versus SEM feels very similar to somebody that's new to the space. And social media, feels like it's all encompassing, but in fact, social media for you doesn't include Google, right? That's search.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, I don't really include Google in social media, and I know some people don't even include YouTube in social media. I still do because back in the day you had the big four, right? You had Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Now you've got Instagram, you've got Pinterest, you've got Snap, you've got TikTok. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more fracturing of audiences than there was, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, video. You brought up YouTube. Sure. YouTube has done some incredible things with their creator platform, their content. LinkedIn It's done LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live has taken, I've seen some really interesting uses of that. We've tested that with our agents. Had some I would say moderate success. Robert, what's the future of video on social?
Yeah, I mean, right now on most channels, they're really hyping video. And what I mean by that is they're sending video content to more people than regular content. If you look at Facebook, if you look at Twitter, if you look at LinkedIn, they're favoring, the algorithms are favoring video over regular content. That's what they want you to use. That's what they want you to see, because they think you're going to spend more time watching the video than you are reading a post. And so they want you to stay on their channel as long as possible. They want you to see those ads. And so they're all pitching video. I mean, video really is the future. For myself, I don't think I'm necessarily camera friendly most times, although I've got like a ton of makeup on right now, so you wouldn't know. But so I tend to do text only posts on most of my channels. And those work incredibly well for me. But I know at some point I'm going to have to go to video, especially when social media goes into more of a virtual reality, augmented reality state, which I know Facebook is looking to go to the next few years, and I'm sure others will as well. It's just a necessity at some point. You look at the explosion of TikTok. I was talking with a client recently, and they were saying, we got to get on TikTok. I was like, well, okay, let's talk about your target audience first. Let's talk about your objectives. We don't want us to get on there for the sake of getting on there. Yeah, exactly. Like the current Burger King commercial, that's based like...
And that's like 5 million views.
Yes.
What you just did.
Yes.
What you just did. It's like 5 million views.
Well, that's it. I mean, like the latest Burger King commercial is just like their mascot King just kind of doing a TikTok video, but it's their national commercial to that song. And it's, it's crazy, the proliferation of, the TikTok, different nuances, how quickly it's become part of, our everyday lives.
But do you think that one can sell into TikTok? Do you think that somebody's cracked that code of selling financial products in TikTok?
Well, I haven't seen it, but
or too early.
I've heard a mortgage company doing great things on TikTok, and I'm drawing a blank on the mortgage company, so I apologize. But it's killing me. I don't want to say the wrong one, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
I know. In fact, one agent who's sold our annuities actually has a TikTok account, and he's done TikTok videos. Now, I'm not, Ramsey, he hasn't had 5 million views. I can tell you that.
I'm sure.
But
probably 500. Yeah.
But it's a great way to crack into new audiences. Quite frankly, if your target audience is the age demographics, for example, that's on TikTok versus on Facebook, because Facebook keeps skewing older and older and older. Snap, Instagram, TikTok, that's where to get the younger audiences.
Yeah, it's this is great. Now we're getting to the end of our show. Robert, if I'm an agent, where do I start? Start with LinkedIn? I had a LinkedIn profile. I did this 5 years ago, and I don't have a picture on my LinkedIn profile, and I've got this website that looks like it was, stuff blinks on it. Remember those sites?
Oh, yeah. They got the little counters at the bottom, right, of the people that have visited. I missed it.
Yes, counters. Yeah, counters. So where do I start, right? If I haven't really, I've kind of left it alone now. I'm starting to come back to it because, wow, I actually learned how to do Zoom, and it was great during the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, you want to have a good profile. And a good profile is written from the perspective of your target audience. So what are their points? What are their needs? At the end of the day, you want to sound smart, talented, and say, wow, that Rob guy's really smart. I would trust him, or he knows what he's doing. I'll reach out to him. That's what you want. So you got to build a differentiated online presence. You do that through your profile, and then you bring your offline network online. Ramsey, we mentioned earlier about content. You want to send content that adds value, that solves pain points, tips, tricks, give out free information, right? But if you don't have any followers, or if you don't have any connections on LinkedIn, for example, then no one's going to see that, right? A buddy of mine reached out about a year ago and said, hey, I'm putting out this content, but no one's engaging with it. And so I looked at the comments, like, wow, this is great content. I don't know why no one's engaging with it. And I looked, he had 59 connections on LinkedIn. It's like, of course no one's engaging with it. No one's seeing it, right? So you have to have a good profile, then bring your offline network online. So Paul, Ramsey, I'm sure you each know like 10,000, 20,000 people. Bring those people online, so when you start sending out that content that's going to add value, that's going to solve pain points, that's really going to establish you as someone that wants to help people and is giving away free information that everyone can use, then it's actually going to get to people. And then people will engage with it, which leads to opportunities to connect with new individuals for you, prospect a little bit, build relationships, build some trust, and get some business opportunities from it. So that's where I would start with most people. From there, then you want to reach out to people in a personalized way. You need to engage with other people because it's all about reciprocity, right? If you're just posting content but you never engage with anybody else's content, there's no point, right? Because eventually they're going to stop engaging with yours. Social media is all about reciprocity. I know that scares the heck out of a lot of compliance teams and a lot of carriers, but it's an absolute necessity to engage with social media. Otherwise, you just got another website. And eventually people aren't going to see the content, because if they don't engage with it, the algorithms then don't show it to anybody. You have to engage. It's imperative. And then, like I said, reach out to people and follow up, right? When you post content, you got to follow up with the people, right? You on LinkedIn, you get 50 likes. Great. Click on those likes. Which people are you not connected with? Could they be prospects? Could they be referral centers? Great. Send them invitations to connect, saying, hey, thanks for liking my post about LinkedIn profiles, whatever it may be. I would love to connect with you, network, share some ideas back and forth. Simple as that. If you do that within a few days of them engaging with your content, you're going to get a 90% acceptance rate. And then from there, build a relationship just like you would on any channel.
Sure.
It's great.
It's great. Ramsey, final questions or thoughts here?
So look, this is a space where me and my team, we've been working on it for the last couple of years, and we have definitely made progress. I want more. I want to see more. So I fully understand everything you're saying. I think it's a lot of work, and it's a lot harder than I originally anticipated when I got started. I'm staying with it. But it's a very interesting mix of art and science. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was going to agree with you, Ramsey. That's a great way to put it. It's art and science. You can take the best practices that work perfectly for me, and they might not work that well for you. So you got to really test, learn, optimize as much as possible to see what fits for you. And again, it goes back to objective and target audience, right? If you're selling, X to Y, that might work on one channel and not work on another.
Yeah. Well, hey, Robert, this is great. We want you back. Okay. I think this is going to be a really good. We're going to get a lot of listens on this. Ramsey, thanks for joining us. Robert,
Pleasure.
how do people best find you and get in touch with you if they want your help?
LinkedIn, Robert Knop. There's not many Robert Knops out there. I have a unique last name, which is a blessing and a curse. But you just search my name, and the first thing that'll pop up will be my LinkedIn profile on Google.
Okay, and we'll even make it easier for you. We'll put it right in the show notes. So open the show, click on it, and you'll be connected with Robert immediately. So listen, thank you. Thanks for joining us, and join us again next week for another episode of That Annuity Show.
Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend us on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information at thatannuityshow.com.